Hello everyone, this is Shadow Libra. Today I will be talking about Garrett and what happens to his soul after his death, along with his general role in the FNAF story. But before we get into this, don't forget to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe with notifications on, join my Discord, follow my Instagram, and my Twitter. Now, let's dive into the video. In the Tales from the Pizzaplex story, Dittophobia, we learn that the house in FNAF 4, along with the nightmare animatronics, are all part of some nasty experiment taking place in William's underground bunker, which explains why in Sister Location, we see the FNAF 4 house on the map, while also having each of the nightmare animatronics marked. Then in Sister Location's private room, we see the FNAF 4 house on the cameras. To see this, we need to type in the code 1983. According to Dittophobia, the nightmare animatronics are not actually real. Instead, they are just mannequins designed like the nightmares. And they have rails under them, which is how they move around. Dittophobia shows us Nightmare Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy. I'd imagine the Freddles probably are in Dittophobia as well. When in the experiments, the room is flooded with a hallucinogenic gas that makes the kid think the nightmare animatronics are actually moving and trying to kill them. The point of the experiments, according to the book, is to study the effects of ongoing fear in children and see what happens if a child faces the same horrors every single night with no real life during the day, to balance out the awful nightmares. This was how William studied fear in souls, and how William also learned how easy it is to manipulate a soul's reality and make them think what you want them to think. So who does William experiment on first? The answer is his youngest son, Garrett. In the breaker room map from Sister Location, we see that the Fun Times and the nightmare animatronics are marked in their positions with gray dots. However, there is also a white dot marked in certain spots too. In both the FNAF 4 bedroom and Plush Trap's hallway, the white dot is in the spot the player stands in. This dot represents the person getting experimented on. Now, the only other spot where we see a white dot is in Garrett's bedroom. From the FNAF 4 minigame house, we also see Garrett's Fredbear plush right next to the cameras monitoring the experiments. Garrett, being the one forced in the experiments, explains so much of FNAF 4. It explains why Garrett is constantly crying and why he is terrified of the animatronics. One of the hints Scott gave us to solve FNAF 4 was what is seen in shadows is easily misunderstood in the mind of a child. Garrett was given the hallucinogens, saw the nightmare animatronics, and he believed they were monsters, when that was never the case, causing him to be fearful of the animatronics. In Dittophobia, another experiment victim named Rory is led by the voice of his friend, Wade, someone he knew years ago. He thinks it is actually Wade talking to him through his walkie-talkie that he finds. And he is led to the generators for the experiments. Then William Afton himself speaks to Rory and convinces Rory to keep the experiments going. This shows William will manipulate his experiment victims by using some sort of AI to act like their friend. For Rory, it was Wade, and I bet for Garrett, it was his Fredbear plush who talks to him throughout all of FNAF 4. The Fredbear plush doesn't just talk to Garrett, he says manipulative things too. For example, he fills Garrett's head with the idea that his brother Michael hates him. The Fredbear plush also says things in order to make Garrett afraid of normal, harmless animatronics. No, don't you remember what you saw? The exit is the other way. Hurry and leave. Garrett is terrified of the animatronics, and the Fredbear plush feeds into that. When a normal employee in a Fredbear suit shows up, the Fredbear plush freaks out and acts like Garrett is in danger. It's too late. Hurry the other way and find someone who will help. You know what will happen if he catches you. You can find help if you can get past them. You have to be strong. Even though Garrett is terrified of the animatronics, he sees the plushies as his friends. Now, something a lot of people have noticed in the scene where Garrett dies is the text color for the Fredbear plush is a much lighter yellow than the text color he uses in the rest of the game. What I think this means is it's no longer the Fredbear plush speaking, but instead someone using the voice of the Fredbear plush. That's someone being William Afton, someone who years later tells Michael to put his sister back together.
And I found her. I put her back together, just like you asked me to.
Just like what the Fredbear plush says here, William is the one speaking to his son before he dies. When Garrett dies, we are told his soul is broken and he needs to be put back together. I believe Garrett's soul was shattered and has had many effects on things that have happened at Fazbear locations throughout the timeline. Look at this. In FNAF 4, Garrett learns of rumors that people have started to spread about the animatronics coming to life at night and hiding the bodies of their victims. While these started as nothing more than silly rumors, this is something that becomes true a couple years later. The animatronics do start coming to life at night, killing the security guards and hiding away their bodies in animatronic suits. Garrett's plushies are Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, a Headless Foxy, and Fredbear. Fredbear acts stranger than the other plushies, talking to Garrett and following him everywhere. In FNAF 1, which happens 10 years after Garrett's death, we have the main four animatronics, Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy, while Fredbear, now known as Golden Freddy, acts stranger than the others, being able to teleport, shapeshift, and fade in and out of existence. Remember how I pointed out that Garrett's Foxy plush has no head, while the other plushies are fully intact? In FNAF 1, Foxy has bits of his costume torn out of him and he is out of order, while the other animatronics look normal. In FNAF 4, Garrett meets a kid who has action figures of the toy animatronics. 4 years later, these action figures are actual animatronics. The Toy Chica action figure had her beak broken off. Toy Chica is capable of removing her beak. We see in Elizabeth's room that she has a Funtime Foxy toy that is torn to pieces. Funtime Foxy also becomes an animatronic 4 years later and becomes a take-apart, put-back-together attraction. One of the animatronics Garrett was forced to face in the experiments was Nightmare BB, who has a voice box that goes,
"Hi. Hello."
4 years later, BB becomes an animatronic built for entertainment, and he has a voice box that goes,
"Hello. Hi."
Garrett's soul was shattered to Fazbear establishments, and bits and pieces of his soul's memories have had influences on things that have happened throughout the timeline. So with Garrett now gone, William has learned that you can easily manipulate the reality of a soul, and pushing too much of this can cause their spirit to break. He could also see that Garrett's soul has amnesia, and he can't seem to remember anything at all about his past life. This brings us to FNAF World. So what is FNAF World exactly? The start of the game shows us a pair of eyes that says something terrible has happened out there and it is having effects here. This pair of eyes then promises the same will not happen to us and that they will put us back together, something William said back in FNAF 4. The same pair of eyes also says we are still your friends and do you still believe that? Which is what William said to Garrett in FNAF 4, which would have to make the speaker William, and the one he is talking to is his son Garrett. But what exactly is going on? Well, it seems that William is trying to convince Garrett the plushies are his friends, but why does that matter if they were just imaginary friends? Well, the plushies were Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, and Fredbear. Who do the kids William killed possess? Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, and Fredbear. In the movie, we learn Garrett is just a wandering spirit in the pizzeria. Every night when Mike works at Freddy's, he says he feels closer to his brother. We also learn that Garrett talks to the other missing children's spirits, and in the movie novelization, Garrett's spirit in the pizzeria, he talks to Mike and he lures him to William in the yellow rabbit suit. Like the other missing children, Garrett is shown to be influenced by William. So how did William use FNAF World to achieve this? Tampering with Garrett's memories. Throughout FNAF World, we are told by the manipulative Fredbear plush, aka William Afton, that we are supposed to find breadcrumbs for Garrett, so he can find his way. But where are we exactly? According to William, FNAF World is a safe place, a sanctuary. Kind of reminds me of the way he talks to Rory in Dittophobia. You're safe here, Rory. This is your home. The FNAF World map, if you pay close attention to it, is actually shaped like a brain, and throughout the game, William tells us to collect clocks. When you find a clock, you get the secret way to play a FNAF 3 minigame. The BB drawing, the arcade button code, the phantom cupcakes, the hex code for purple backwards, and the Shadow Bonnie doll. All leading to different memories, but whose memories are these? They are Garrett's. Because freeing the kids in each memory in FNAF 3 brings you to the happiest day, which if you look closely is actually the Fredbear's Family Diner layout in FNAF 4. Tables are spaced the same colored balloons, the happiest day exit is where Garrett got bitten, and the actual Fredbear's exit is where we see the souls finally set free. These memories put together create the worst memory Garrett ever has, telling us these are all bad memories of Garrett's past. The BB kid making fun of him outside, the broken Funtime Foxy toy in his house, the toy Chica his friends had, a Fredbear's Family Diner, and being afraid of what was in the shadows. However, we can also see that there is a kid trapped inside each of the memories. We even know which kid is in which memory based on who appears in Happiest Day after playing a certain minigame. Gabriel is trapped in BB's Air Adventure, Susie is trapped in Chica's Party, Fritz is trapped in Stage 01, and lastly, Jeremy is trapped in the Shadow Bonnie minigame. How does that happen? Well, perhaps that's why William wants us to collect the clocks so bad. Collecting them can help convince Garrett that the plushies, the children, are still his friends. I believe collecting a clock traps a part of one of the kids' souls inside of Garrett's memory, and that is how each of the kids meet Garrett, who is now put back together and is in a false happiest day state like the rest of the kids are, and is influenced by William, while like the other children being unaware of the fact he is actually dead. So FNAF World is a spirit world, a dimension between the world of the living and the world of the dead. Somewhere, William is able to communicate with both Garrett and Adventure Freddy. Who is Adventure Freddy? It's Cassidy. In FNAF World, William tells Adventure Freddy that he was made for one thing, which matches up with a very similar line William says to the kids in the movie.
You are wretched, rotten little beast! I made you!
We also see in Ultimate Custom Night that Cassidy appears to Old Man Consequences as a red bear. In FNAF World, if we choose to meet Old Man Consequences, we also appear as a red bear. Drowning in his lake seems to lead us to a false happiest day according to the game's files. If Cassidy is the red bear and Adventure Freddy is also the red bear, then that would mean Cassidy has to be Adventure Freddy. Cassidy was the one William tasked with putting Garrett back together. Since William uses Cassidy to go into the spirit world, that would explain how Cassidy gains more supernatural abilities when controlling Golden Freddy, such as shapeshifting, fading in and out of existence, and teleporting. So after Garrett dies, he becomes a wandering soul and friends with the missing children. But what about FNAF 4? In the movie, we learn that the reason Mike takes his sleeping pills and has the same dream every night is because he is trying to figure out who kidnapped Garrett. However, in the games, the reasoning would be different since the way Garrett dies is not a mystery. It is confirmed by the survival logbook Michael is the one having the dreams in FNAF 4 since he drew Nightmare Fredbear. So what is Michael trying to do by having these dreams every night? In these dreams, Michael relives the memory of what Garrett went through when he was experimented on. He has to meet the nightmares and plush trap, which shows us that Michael is beginning to learn what Garrett was so afraid of in the first place. Why he was afraid of the animatronics. It was due to the gas experiments. Like the movie, the FNAF 4 Dreams is Michael reliving his brother's memories, except this time he's stepping into the position of Garrett. The movie also tells us Mike surrounds himself with anything he can use to remind him of Garrett. In the movie, it's the nature sounds and the Nebraska poster. In the games, it's the IV and the flowers. Michael uses sleeping pills to get himself in a deep sleep to have the dreams in the first place, just like the movie. We also hear the FNAF 1 Night 1 call play a bunch of times, but in reverse. According to the movie, the reason Michael went to FNAF 1 is because he could sense Garrett's presence. So playing that message on loop whenever he falls asleep would remind him of Garrett. Now, I don't think Michael is just dreaming about the nightmares. In the movie, we see all 5 missing children enter Mike's dreams and directly interact with him. We also see that when the kid's spirits attack Mike in his dreams, that carries over to the real world.
You're bleeding, by the way.
Which would probably mean, in the dreams, if the nightmares kill Michael, he dies in real life as well. It would also mean that the nightmare animatronics are the kid's spirits attacking Michael. So for 8 nights, Michael forces himself into these dreams to understand what Garrett was afraid of. And he ends up learning that Garrett was afraid of the experiments William put him through. Getting closure on that, Michael stops forcing himself into those dreams. So this is what I believe Garrett's role in the FNAF story is. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think of it in the comments, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye everyone.